In this video, we're going to be taking a look at taking a design and applying what we call an easy trap inside EasyStone. And what that will allow us to do is not layer our heat transfer vinyl materials on top of one another. And right now, if you look at this design that we have blue sitting directly on top of black, and we have white sitting directly on top of black, and then of course we have red sitting directly on top of white. Now we can cut this design just as it is, and most of your heat transfer vinyl materials, or a lot of them I should say, will layer on top of one another. Now sometimes we don't want to layer on top of one another because obviously the more layers that we put on top of one another, the stiffer the design gets. So a lot of time what we want to do is we want to create a trap so that when we lay down our first color, we can lay down our second color on top of the first color without a complete full overlay. And this is also useful when you're cutting glitter heat transfer vinyl materials, because typically with glitter we would not layer glitter on top of glitter typically. That said, because first of all, glitter is very thick, so if you were to have 2 or 3 layers of glitter on top of one another, your shirt would be very stiff. But also, typically glitter does not do well when it's layered. Now, that's just kind of a generic general rule. We can actually layer glitter on top of glitter without issue. It just depends on the type of glitter heat transfer vinyl that you're using. So if you're intending to layer glitter on top of glitter, it's a really good idea to test and make sure that you can actually do that. All right, so at any rate, let's take a look at this design and show you how to apply a trap if you so desire. So the design is going to come to you not trapped for this particular reason. That was just a design choice that I made for this particular design. And it's easy enough to apply a trap here in EasyStone, so might as well go ahead and do it here. I'm just going to change this to a softball design quick just so we can see it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to apply a trap out of the blue letters. So again, if we look at the design, you can see how it kind of breaks down. We have one solid, the ball is one solid, and of course we have the red. So all we need to do is take our blue and hold our shift key down and select our black. And that is the last item selected is what we're going to modify. So we're going to come in here to Vinyl Essentials here in EasyStone, and you see that Easy Trap right here. So we just click Apply Easy Trap, and we have to select a shape to apply. All right, now we'll go ahead and grab our black, shift page down, sets it to the back. Now we don't really see anything at this point. It looks the same, but if I double click on black, notice we have this small trapping, okay? And if we were to move our blue out of the way, you can see it's now hollow behind there. So now the next thing we want to trap is the ball and the black. And again, apply Easy Trap. And again, if we double click on black, you can see that slight trap. And if we move the ball out of the way, you can see now it's only just sitting on the very edge of black rather than being a solid overlay. And the red, we won't apply a trap at all, and that's because if we did apply a trap, the space would be so minimal. The amount of overlay that red has on top of our yellow is so minimal that we wouldn't even bother with putting a trap in there. Okay, so that's all there is to it. And so now this design is ready to go. So what I'll go ahead and do is throw a weed box around it. I'm going to right click here to export this as a vector file. And I'm just going to export this to the CorelDRAW just so you can see how this lays out. But you can see our 3 different layers now. Our black, and then the baseball color. It's white in our design, so it converts it to gray so we can see it here. Then, of course, we have our red laces, and then we have our blue love. So let's take a look at another design, which is the basketball version. Same thing. We're going to take our blue here. Let's actually ungroup this design. Right click and ungroup. So we'll take our blue part of the design. Delete our weed box here. So there's our blue part of the design. And then shift select the black part of our design and apply Easy Trap. And again, we're going to push the black to the bottom by hitting shift page down. And that takes care of that. If we double click on black and look closely, you can see this extra outline there. And of course, if we move our blue shape away, well, it didn't actually punch it out. Well, how come it didn't do that? Well, let's go into wireframe mode and take a look at something here. Because it's showing us in wireframe mode that the cutting did happen. I'm going to actually back out here a little bit before the cutting took place so you can see this. So in wireframe mode, if we look at the black background, you can see it's solid. There's no holes punched, there's no extra lines. However, if we take this love and then shift select our black and hit apply Easy Trap, now you see that secondary line around love, that's the Easy Trap. But if we move our black shape away from love and then go back to enhance mode, it appears as though it's solid. Why is that? Well, let me show you something that you can do to eliminate that. So what you can do here is double click on love. If you see that happen, you can double click on love and you could choose this option to reverse direction. Most of the time, that resolves this issue. So let's take a look. We'll take blue, hold our shift key down and select black, and we'll choose apply Easy Trap. We're going to do the shift page down here on our black, and then we'll just take a look. Let's pick up our black here. Is it hollow? And you can see it's not. Still not hollow. So what that indicates to me is that there's some reason that this isn't hollow. And it usually involves the artwork itself. I don't know exactly what could be wrong, but let's try something. So all I'm doing is double clicking on love. And if I select one node on the letter E and hit reverse, now it's punched out. Okay? So we know that that is a pretty simple fix. So what I want to do then, knowing that this appears as though it's not hollowed out when it really is, I can go through and fix it quite easily. I'm just going to select one node on the inside of our E and hit the reverse direction. One node on our V, and then one node on the L. Very good. I'm glad it created that issue for us because it happens quite frequently and we need to know how to fix it when it does happen. So now you can see we have the areas punched out that should be punched out, and yet when I double click on my black, I still have that trap that we need. Now the amount of trap is preset by EasyStone. It's 0.7 of a millimeter if you were interested, but we can right click on apply Easy Trap and we can set our own offset value. So if you didn't want to use 0.7 for your Easy Trap, you can assign whatever value you want, and the value that you enter here is going to be in millimeters. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to take our basketball shape and do the same thing basically, which is to apply the Easy Trap to that. Now if we double click on our black shape, you can see all that trapping has automatically happened on every piece of our basketball. But what we can't see is whether or not our black shape visually is hollowed out. The paths are there for our cutter to cut, but what it's going to look like. And it looks like we have a similar issue. So we know how to fix it though, right? We're just going to take that and hit reverse. On every shape, doesn't matter what node you pick, we're just going to choose that reverse option, but we have to pick one node on each segment of our orange. So just take one node and hit that reverse direction. There's only a few pieces, thankfully. So that should make our job pretty simple. I don't remember if I did this one or not. We're going to find out though. All right. So I think I have them all. So now let's try and take a look. And sure enough, it's hollowed out the way we would expect it to be hollowed out. And see, now we can actually use this black all by itself if we really wanted to. But we know now it's all hollowed out like it's supposed to. The trapping is all there for us, and we're ready to go. So we go ahead and go back in here to do an export a vector file. And then we're just going to export this to the CorelDRAW file and take a look at what we have here. We have our solid black, but been punched out where the overlay colors are, and of course we have our colors on top. So that's how easy it is to go about applying a trap if that's how you want to create this artwork for your finished product. That's the way to do it. So with that said, that should get you all cleared up. The other thing to consider, and I just want to point this out to you, the reason that I chose to leave this artwork set up the way I did, if you wanted to apply this design to a nylon bag, what you would need to do is you would need to take our black layer because it was solid, and you need to have the black layer to be a special heat transfer vinyl material for nylon. They make a special material that has a special adhesive that will apply to nylon. And then you can use regular heat transfer vinyl on top of that. You don't need the vinyl version of it. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll have a large roll of white and a large roll of black for nylon, because I do a lot of duffel bags. And then the orange and the blues and the other colors can just be regular heat transfer vinyl that you'd use for a t-shirt because you have your base. And so in some cases it's useful to have that base color be solid, and then in other cases where you're going to be using glitter or you just don't want to layer the materials to be extra thick on the shirt, well, so then you have to apply the trap. But at least this way you know how to apply the trap, so depending on how you want to utilize the artwork, you'll know what to do if you need to. Thanks for watching.